welcome to the Lord Slarr panel discussion, where today, as my guests, I have lots of birds. Well, you see, they just all live outside in Australia, don't they, Sin? You just not even a response. I'm not even dignified.
I've just watched the cat walk through the fence hole. No,
that is not interesting information. That does not pertain to what we're talking. Anyway,
so but it's not my cat. And it's meant to be in here.
Right.
Anyway, Jodie Whitaker, was she any good?
Yeah, bollock off. You don't control this. Right. So today I have, as my guest, I have the lovely George Sherdock, HPB.
Hello there.
We have Shay Kellier, the one and only, my wife.
Hey.
And then we have Sin. Can I say your first name, or is that doxing?
No, you can, because it was in the Extremis one last year.
And we have Charlie, who's very
simple. How's it cracking?
He's living outside. He's homeless right now. That's why you can hear the birds.
I wished.
You can afford Skype though, so it's all okay.
Of course.
All right.
Well, I walk around with like a Microsoft phone that only has Skype.
Well, it still sounds better than a Chromebook. Anyway, let's actually be on topic for the first time in the first couple of minutes of this video. So,
nonsense.
The first episode of Series 11, which we've been waiting for quite a long time, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. And of course, the first topic to talk about is definitely the Doctor, as played by Jodie Whitaker. So how about we start with George, since you actually got to see it early, so you've had a long time to kind of your thoughts gestate on this. So,
yeah,
what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's a big change. It is, of course, it's one of the biggest changes since William Hartnell to Patrick Troughton. So it was going to be looked at and heavily judged and that sort of thing. And to be honest, I think with what she was given, I think she did a pretty good job. I think she kind of brings together elements of previous modern Doctors. I don't see many classic elements at the moment. I'm seeing a mix of Tennant, Smith, a little bit of Eccleston. I think she needs more time to develop, to be honest. I think she needs a couple more episodes at least. But at the moment, I think she's pretty decent.
Well, I hate to start off on the negative, but just to kind of respond to one of the things you said about her being like New Who Doctors, that kind of bothers me a bit, because she's very whimsical in the same way that all those previous Doctors were, and I was never really a fan of it, and it's gotten really stale for me at this point, and I don't really find it funny. I find it just a bit annoying, and it just seems like a very overdone trope at this point, because the last 3 Doctors have been like that.
It's forced whimsy. It's like Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka.
Yeah, it's not like Tom Baker where it just comes naturally.
It's just there. Or Hartnell.
Yeah, Jodie Whittaker's kind of like, she's not really known for comedy that much. She's done a lot of very serious acting. So it just comes out.
Well, she's not really old enough to even play that scene, because it seems that she usually plays characters that are younger than her or more youthful. So to take this kind of role, that's not.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I think maybe a serious Doctor would have suited her better, just because I really liked her when she was being serious in the story. She did serious a lot better than the past few Doctors have, because I've always found that either I couldn't take it seriously, or it just came off as a bit pretentious when the past 3 or so Doctors...
Well, no.
Not all the time.
Capaldi could manage it.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't think so. I thought that often when Capaldi was being serious, it just became a pretentious speech, which was meant to sound clever than it actually was. Well, yeah, of course it was Moffat fault. I'm not blaming the actors here. For the most part, it is the writing, because everybody who's played the Doctor in New Who's been extremely high-quality actors. It's just they're not always given the right material, in my opinion. Anyway, so let's let you talk about Jodie Whittaker for a bit then, Charlie.
Yeah, alright. Well, I thought she was fine. I mean, it wasn't anywhere near what was, expected, I think, in the end, because no one goes, oh yeah, she's going to be some kind of Baker, Davison, Tennant fusion. But,
where's the Davison? Because when I think of Davison, I think
Davison?
of just extremely
the blonde.
Being blonde.
Just the same hair. They scalped Peter Davison and just stuck it on Jodie Whittaker.
No, she was. Look, as all the trailers kept coming in, the thing with Jodie Whittaker is that she's kind of a Well, there are two types of doctors, right? There are the doctors that react to their surroundings, and then there are the doctors that the surroundings react to, right? You kind of have your primary heroic, filling up the screen kind of doctors, which is, that's Pertwee, that's Tom, that's Colin, that's, Tennant, whatever. And then you have your kind of reactive doctors that flit around the screen and kind of cause a bit of havoc by slinking through the shadows, being a bit mercurial. That's Troughton, Davison, McCoy, McGann kind of thing, right? At least McGann in everything but the TV film. Which is the kind of doctor that I associate the character with more.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Simply because it doesn't work for the character to be this big kind of heroic presence, but that's what the Americans seem to like. And I wish that reviewers would stop saying good or brilliant or fab or whatever the fuck, yes with 7 S's, and just say what the Americans like when they refer to the revived series, because it works a whole lot more than saying that, oh, she was great and this is amazing and she is the Doctor, because no, she's fucking not, but neither was Matt Smith.
Really? You don't think that she's like the Doctor?
I feel that she was fine. I feel that she'll improve her performance in the coming episodes, because this was obviously filmed. This is like 4 to Doomsday, but cranked up to 11. It was a very unsure performance. She was playing it like a children's entertainer.
Yeah, I can kind of agree, but I didn't feel like she wasn't the Doctor. I mean, I get what you mean. Sometimes some of the Doctors, especially some of the New Who Doctors, don't quite feel like the Doctor, but that's only really in very specific moments, like when Capaldi shoots the General or something. I've never found it just generally to be a thing. There's always, like, kind of... You always feel it's the same character, just, told in a different way that maybe you don't think works as well, maybe you do think it works as well, but yeah.
Well, no, I don't think she wasn't the Doctor, but I think she was the Doctor, but not a version of the Doctor that I can get behind, which is unusual considering it's Jodie Whitaker. Anyway.
Yeah, I can kind of see where you come from. I'm going to reserve judgment because this was kind of a post-regenerative thingy episode. But yeah, no, I have not been really a huge fan of this whimsy stuff. I was really hoping for a more serious Doctor, because we had, Tennant, who wasn't too serious. When he was serious, it was just a bit... Ugh. Matt Smith, who really wasn't serious. Then we were promised a proper serious Doctor with Capaldi, and then we just got like a moody teenager for his first series. Then he was just Matt Smith light for the rest of his series. So I was really hoping finally we're going to get a serious Doctor, and we've got a serious actor coming in. But no, it's just like whimsy and
well,
humor again.
Chibnall writing he's an idiot. I mean, he's not, but he's a tool.
Is he?
Yeah, he is a bit, right? Because all of his, and he did well on Torchwood, I suppose, but I feel like most of his episodes were not entirely penned by him when they hit the mark, and most of his kind of Doctor Who was extremely hit or miss.
We'll discuss
we'll talk about that later.
Chibnall's writing later, because this is specifically about Jodie Whitaker, and I think maybe we should give Shay a chance to talk about Jodie, since he hasn't really chipped in yet.
I haven't chibbed. Yeah, I mean, I thought for just the first episode it was obviously it wasn't going to be a total full realization of what she's going to end up doing with the character.
Yeah.
I suppose there were hints of it towards the end, and the stuff towards the end, like with the funeral, I thought was quite good.
Oh, definitely. And when she was facing off against the Zim Shaw person, or whatever his name was.
No, she just kept making fucking Moffat jokes. No, she didn't. She just kept making jokes. Take it.
No, not the first bit. The bit when they're on the crane.
Yeah, no, you're right.
She was being pretty serious there, and I really liked her.
But then
her very good, heroic jump. It's a way of making the Doctor look heroic without going over the top.
Yeah, but she also kept being a bit... It's just the Doctor
doing something brave that anybody could do, really, rather than just, he's Space Jesus who can save the universe. It was a really nice moment.
True.
And honestly, I think that's my highlight for Jodie Whitaker this episode, when she makes that jump. It was really good. It was really well done.
I think she kept being a bit man who never would kind of thing, right? Like, this guy has been, his life's been threatened, right? And then the guy goes, I will go, right? And then Mr. Motivation Tape pushes him off the train, and she goes, "You had no right to do that." Yeah, he fucking did. Yeah, he did.
No right to do what?
Because remember Mr. Motivation Tape tries to kill Tim Shaw, right?
Oh.
And after he pushes him off, she has the audacity to turn to him, whose life has just been threatened by this person, right, and go, "You had no right to do that."
Oh, I didn't see that.
If she's going to
Maybe I
have
missed
that
it.
high of a misunderstanding of the human condition as this doctor, then she's going to be more Asperger's like than Matt Smith was.
Well, I think, yeah. I don't remember that, but if you're right, then yeah, I think that's pretty
Yeah, it did
clear.
happen.
The doctor is not
Yeah.
a man who never would. There are some situations where
Yeah.
it's needed.
Yeah.
I mean, what were they going to do? Like, let him kill him?
Well,
I mean, they
just-
had come to an
yeah.
agreement on his surrender and kind of like him leaving.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah,
okay.
but
well,
see,
then maybe,
think
maybe
about
she
if it was-
maybe that wasn't justified then.
The way I look
Well,
at it
think
is
if it
sort
was
of-
McCoy.
Let George speak a moment.
The way I
Yeah.
think of it is kind of like the sort of moral aspect of it. The doctor feels like she would have been, she sent him on his way. He had the teleport thing. He was on his way home. She's trying to save the soul of the person who's just kicked him off. Because it is murder in that sense. If you're making another murderer, it's an old concept that's been done before. I don't think it was done in the intention of, the doctor is having the moral high ground on this kid. I think it's more the fact about it's like, I was doing that for you so you didn't have to kill him, so no one had to die in a way.
Yeah,
I like
think
that. That's better. But the line delivery was a bit shit. Is the thing, because it was kind of like it was like a placeholder that she would go back and redo, as a bit of a voiceover, in the ADR or whatever. But she kind of, because she was just like, "You don't have to do that." It was like, what?
Yeah, I think we've got to kind of give Jodie Whitaker a bit of leniency, considering how different this role is to anything she's really played before. So I can kind of understand why there's going to be a bit of teething issues. So I'm willing to let that slide for now, for sure. But yeah, there was a couple of problems here and there with some of the delivery.
Although they can mostly be blamed on Chibnall.
Specifically with the humour.
It was kind of
the serious stuff was great, but the humour. There was way
My
too much
problem
of
with it,
wasn't there?
yeah.
Anyway, I think we should probably move on to the companions now before this video goes on for like an hour. So would Shay like to start and give his opinion on the companions?
I loved Graham, and I will do anything to.
His fucking
protect
Jar
him.
Jar was shit.
What?
He was the Jar Jar Binks of the
This
new
is
team up. He was
blasphemy.
absolutely useless.
I declare war.
I really
on you.
wanted to like him too, and I sat there and I went, "Fuck."
I'm gonna
not
get
at all.
I'm gonna get Salad Man to fling some shit off you.
But he's such a nice
Salad Man is
though.
just the equivalent of the Let's Hobo.
He's such a nice man, is Graham.
No, I
not
didn't.
like
I
that.
wasn't a fan of Graham there. I have to be honest.
Well, Shay, no, you can continue, Shay, before I end up going on my spiel.
Yeah, I really liked Graham, and I liked that the three companions already know each other, because then they don't have to spend time sort of like going, now we know each other. They can sort of just base relationship for all of them and build off it.
Well, and that's kind of needed when you've got three companions.
Yeah, when you have
when
three
you
of
only
them.
have
Yeah.
50-minute episodes. Because, I mean, it's already a ridiculous order to fit in that many companions in a show like Doctor Who in a time frame of only 50 minutes per story.
Well, no, it's good because it's like Susan, Ian, and Barbara kind of thing. If they
The reason
already
why that
know
worked
each other,
is
it's
it was
way
like
easier.
it was 6 episodes or 4 episodes, not like one 50-minute episode. They all got a chance to have something to do and get developed because the stories
That's
were so
true,
long.
actually.
Whereas I worry that might be not be the case here because they haven't got as much time.
Well,
And
look,
I think
Yasmin
Yaz is
had,
probably
like,
a good example
zero,
of that.
yeah.
I'm not a fan of Yaz. Maybe that'll change.
Yeah,
Maybe they'll
but
give it
look,
development.
hopefully they'll kill her off.
I really like Ryan. I really like Graham. And they both had lots of development.
Ryan's the best.
Both had
Ryan
lots of
is-
development, and they were
yeah.
both quite good. The actor who played Ryan, struggled a bit here, but I'll give him benefit of the doubt. Maybe this is different to anything he's played before as well. So we'll see what happens later on. And Bradley Walsh is brilliant. So those two were great, but Yasmin, Not a
From
whole
what
lot
I
of,
saw,
not a
I
whole
don't
lot
think
of
she's
development, and not really that interesting, to be honest.
I
I
don't
hope
think
they
she's
kill her
had,
off.
I don't think she's had enough on screen yet to make like a proper judgment. I don't think I've actually seen enough of her. I think I need to see a couple of episodes
Oh, no,
more with
I
her
agree with that.
first. I think it's difficult because they're trying to have 65 minutes where they're introducing a new Doctor, technically four new characters, a monster, a story. You know, it's quite a difficult task, and
So,
I think
so doesn't that show you that maybe having longer stories is probably a good idea?
yeah,
Like I've been calling for so long.
but it isn't.
They won't
I
do
mean,
it, though.
I know it's technically not a two-parter, but it definitely left it on a type of cliffhanger.
Yeah, Chibnall spends the whole time going, oh, there's going to be no linking fucking part of the season, and the first episode ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, but there's a difference between like having a story arc and then having self-contained stories where like one event leads to the next. Like, what are you trying to say that all Hartnell episodes are just one big episode in season one, just because each episode ends on a cliffhanger for the next? You know?
No, I'm saying that Chibnall specifically said that there wouldn't be any, like, everything was solo and standalone, and I'm like, well, dude, that's obviously false. And then it
Rule
was-
one, the Chibnall
I
lies.
think, yeah, but I think you're just taking that way too literally, that statement. He was merely referring to the fact that there's no story arc.
Well, alright, fine. So there's going to be no story arc, except for the fact that there obviously is going to be a story arc to do with that woman that died.
How? How have you inferred that?
Well,
I
I
think-
think
I-
there are more
look.
promo photos
Order,
of her in
order.
other locations.
There's a difference between story arcs and character arcs.
Okay.
I think they're building up a character arc between Jesus Christ.
Fucking hell.
I believe.
Can you shut
Oh,
your
I think
bird
They're on
up?
the power line.
I don't think they put him in the show, honestly.
No, I think I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think the reason that her character was killed off was first of all possibly a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to the fact that I'm not Stephen Moffat and I can kill off a character. Also, the fact that you've got Ryan and Graham have a decent relationship but aren't that close. So I feel like having that makes way for them to, have that sort of reconcile. I feel like by the end of the series he'll call Grandad and that'll be a nice kind of round circle a little bit. But
Yeah.
But that
Yeah,
sounds
well,
good. That
yeah.
sounds good. I like the sound of that. Well, let's see what.
Thing is, I've seen. There are promo photos of I think was her name Grace, right? There are promo photos of her with them in like alien locations.
Well, don't
There are a
spoil it.
couple. Well, I'm just saying they're there. Like, it's
Well,
the
I
thing.
haven't seen them.
There was a one that was released, which was from episode 1, which is where Jodie had her costume on. That was done, I think, from the BBC just to make people think that she is going to be a recurring character. I'm hoping that the only way she will make an appearance will be maybe a possible flashback or maybe some sort of thing. I don't want to bring her back. If they bring her back, they go into Moffat territory
Yeah,
and they're going into...
we're in the new
going
era. The whole point of
Yeah.
giving Chibnall such a clean slate and such a fresh start was to get away from all of the mistakes the Moffat era made. And if they just go and just make death meaningless again, like Moffat's already done, that's going to be a very, very big strike against the Chibnall era for me if that happens. I will not be happy.
I wish they
at all.
killed.
It's very... Cause, just let me explain this to people who don't really know my stance on this. We need death in television programs because if you don't have the threat of characters being killed off, what's keeping the suspense? What's keeping you on the edge of your seat when a character's in danger? Nothing, because they'll all be fine in the end, like they always are, like they are in the Moffat era. When you actually kill characters off, that means when you see a character you like in danger, all of a sudden you're going to be on the edge of your seat. It's good TV writing.
This is why I'm looking forward to when Chibnall inevitably does bring a Dalek back into the series. And hear me out, right? Because Russell T Davies had the balls to actually have the Daleks kill people off, where the fact that they were actually intimidating. Moffat, the Daleks barely killed anyone, so they just became stale and boring, similar to Sontarans. They were kind of made a joke out of a little bit. Whereas I feel
agree,
like the fact that Chibnall's had the balls to kill 5 characters off, one actual important one and 4 sort of just random people. The fact that he's had the balls to kill a few characters off in quite gruesome ways, it leaves way for whenever he does bring a Dalek into it, I feel like he can do a decent job with it. In my opinion.
Yeah, well, let's kind of pause on that and get onto that when we get onto like the plot and the writing and all that.
Sorry.
So, is there any final thoughts on the companions before we move on?
I wish they killed Graham.
Yeah,
Bradley
well,
Walsh
I wish
instead of
like
Grace.
in real life, Graham comes and kills you. Bradley Walsh comes around to your house and kills you.
He wasn't
'Cause he is a
very
lovely-
good. I know
he's a
he'll
lovely
end
man.
up. He'll have a bit of a. No,
I-
I'm sure he's a lovely man. He's a lovely game show host, but he just the act. It wasn't there. The chemistry between him and everyone else
It was
it
amazing.
wasn't-
He has so
Was it-
much charisma. He was the most charismatic
Is this just because?
person.
Is this just because he's like a 40-year-old man? And you're
No, I
it's
just
the general of
like the actor, and I think that he played a very good character. It was well developed. And he
Actor?
acted it well. Yes, he acted it really well.
actor?
Yes,
Actor Bradley Walsh, the actor.
he was in Law and
Yeah.
Order UK.
Oh well, fuck. Practically Shakespeare.
Well, apparently he was good in that. Not that I've seen it, so.
I
It's
just
Dylan,
not that
we all know
hard
you
to
have
be
the box
good in
set.
Law and Order. You just have to go in there and like remember your lines. And it's usually
You
things
can
like,
say that about
"Officer,
any
I've been
acting."
raped."
it's the thing about it, right? Is with his character, I feel like I don't know. I feel like Chibnall. Oh, I know we're going in a different territory there, but I feel like if you can make me feel that like kind of emotion from characters I've only just met and been introduced to very briefly, I think that's decent storytelling. I think
Yeah, I agree.
Bradley Walsh's performance towards kind of in the middle with the comic relief mixed with the very serious nature of the end, I think he did an excellent job. I think it was well written, but it was very well
He did
thought.
improve by the end. He did improve by the end, but I've got kind of reservations about the character, mainly because it feels like a plot character, right? It feels like he's there to push Ryan to be better than he was before, and then at the end he'll die, and Ryan will be like, "Ah, Granddad," and then that will be the grandfather, you know,
but
and then
he's a
that will
good
be the end
character
of the
with
fucking
development
season.
in his own right, so therefore
He,
that
well,
was negated.
he wasn't until. This is the bad thing, because he's entirely defined by his relation to other characters right now. So we
Well,
we
that's
don't
just because
actually
all
know
the characters
Graham.
know each other.
Yeah, but he's
You can say
not
that about
actually.
every
We
character.
don't know Graham. No, you couldn't, because we know
We do know
Ryan
things
without
about
that
him. We do know
context,
things
and we
about
know, like what?
Well, like that he had cancer. We know about his wife and his relationship with his wife.
What
Yeah,
the
we
way-
do know about his wife and his relationship with his wife. That's the point.
It's very
we know,
early
we
to
only
make
we don't know who Graham is the point. Now I hope
He
that we
used
will
to be a
come to
bus
know
driver.
who Graham is.
He used to be a bus driver.
It's the kind of thing. Chibnall, I think, has made something. I don't know whether this was confirmed or not, but I believe that like a few episodes in the series will focus on specific companions. So I think we're going to get
That's
a lot
good.
of chance to actually see
well, I'm
more of
happy about
Graham
that.
and have his story develop, as well as Ryan, as well as Yaz.
Lovely.
We're going to have individual stories that highlight them and give us a bit more information on them. So that might be a bit more mystery, I suppose.
All right, I'm going to
Cool.
have to stop you there
All right.
so we can move on because we are getting into quite a lot of time now. So we're going to do side characters and hopefully we can do this a bit quicker. So what are your thoughts on those?
Salad
Well,
Man is the pinnacle of character writing.
Oh, new best
I
character
don't-
in Doctor Who.
He's the
Yeah.
Chibnall era equivalent of the hobo that always gets killed in those like
No, it's-
alien
no,
invasion
he's,
stories.
What's it? Pigbin Josh from the Claws of Axos.
Or the fucking idiot from the War Machines.
I'm just trying to find a bed.
The guy that dies and like an
Yeah,
hour
I know.
later is in the paper somehow.
I don't know, finding a
Uh.
random body in a garden. You know, it's like kind of back page news, which it was. Anyway, side characters in this episode. Come on.
Does side characters
Oh.
include Tim Shaw, or is
No,
he a
no.
separate
He's
thing?
in the next bit.
That was such a
Alright.
stupid joke.
I like the self-improvement guy. I feel like
I did. I thought that was a really dark touch, which we haven't seen before.
'Cause-
I thought that was a very that was a device that would have been used in like an early Big Finish. You know what I mean? Like the tape and the kind of repeating over and over.
Yeah.
That would have been a
'Cause-
really good device to have been used in like an early kind of Colin and Evelyn tale. Really.
Yeah, no,
the
I liked
thing
it. as
about
well.
it, and the thing with it, I think it also applies to the companions as well. So far, unlike in the Moffat era, these are, they're like real people and they have problems that they're trying to deal with. They're not like perfect, just sort of random people who show up,
Yeah.
say a few
I'm a
things,
character.
disappear. He has like
Kind of thing. Yeah.
He has like a world that you can set up. Like he doesn't feel good about himself at all. He's not confident in himself,
yeah.
which people can relate to.
Yeah, he just puts more effort
But the
into
thing
the
with-
details and less into like just kind of making all these characters like Moffat made all characters like just kind of seem bold and zany and out there in different ways. You know,
Clever.
It's difficult to describe just off the top of my head, but I think Chibnall has a much more down-to-earth kind of way of creating characters, which for me is a hell of a lot better. There's no longer everybody's just really grandiose and a bit. Ugh. With Chibnall, I feel like these are very well fleshed out characters. And that's what people were saying before Series 11 aired, that Chibnall is very good with characters. I was like, okay, we'll see.
Yep.
And he is. These are some brilliant, very well written characters that we've had in just this first episode. Especially the
maybe not
companions
Yasmin.
and also the side characters. I mean, we've got to talk about Grace.
Maybe not Yasmin.
Grace was great.
I feel like I
Grace
know
was great, yeah.
Carl, the sort of kind of depressing guy, more than I know like freaking Riggsy, and he was in like 2 episodes.
Yeah, more than I know Danny Pink.
Good point.
More than we fucking know Clara.
Yeah, exactly. What? She's like a nanny who thinks
She's like a
fucking
nanny.
God.
She's entirely defined by her relation to children and
Likes
grown
kids.
men that act like children.
I love it. Right, slap that on the front of Series 9 box set, please.
Bang. Series 9 box sets look so nice, but they're it's like a beautiful woman with cancer. It's just rotting away inside.
Whoa!
Are you hating on
Fuck
cancer
Series 9.
patients now?
No, I'm not. I'm
As we all
empathizing with
know.
them. I'm saying that.
What you're implying is that this person,
You're implying that people who have cancer aren't beautiful on the inside.
is worthless and bad.
Well, no, of course they're beautiful on the metaphysical
You've been caught
inside, but
out.
the physical inside, obviously, is,
Yeah,
ranging from, anyway, yeah.
But
Moving
Grace was a brilliant side character.
Grace was great.
Because I could kind of tell that she was going to get killed off from the moment I saw her.
We all knew it.
Yeah, but
We were like,
it
see.
was really
it's
nice
a
to see.
Southeast Asian woman with grandchildren. She's dead.
Yeah, black people die first in Doctor Who. Shock horror.
The mutants.
When that actually happened in Series 9, the first 2 stories, a black person died in the pre-title sequence.
And
Kill off
any
the black
time in
people,
like
that's what they're
the
doing.
Pertwee or the Hartnell eras, a black guy turns up, you know that they're gonna bite it. Like the smugglers, fucking what's his name? Jamaica. I was gonna say Ebony Spells. I knew it was something like that. Jamaica.
Fucking smugglers, man. What an absolute meme.
Or Kamal or Toberman or the dude from the Mutants who can't act for shit.
Turk.
Tony Strongman.
He's still black. He's
Tokyo.
alright. He's a
Turkish people
quote unquote
aren't black.
Turk. No, but
Anyway,
he is black. Is the
we're
point.
not talking about ethnic
The actor
identity
is black.
right now.
It's the same guy as Toberman. They kept him on
no,
for 2
I'm just going to
stories.
say what I was going to say before we went veering off into racial territory, which, might I add, is not a good idea on YouTube.
I'm not being racist, I'm just saying the actor
I know.
was black.
I mean, I'm just not interested in talking about racial demographics right now.
Okay.
Was it Jerry who said that Grace pulled a Tom Baker at the end?
Well, yeah, it's the end, but the moment's been prepared for. Yeah, no, but I really liked how they actually went and put the effort in to really develop a really nice character, which was like, oh, I like her a lot, and then just have her die. You know, like, develop her properly and then have her die. If that's a mission statement from Chibnall to show that he's very different from the Moffat era, he's going to bring back consequences and stuff like that in Doctor Who, I'm very pleased about that. We'll have to see if it all pans out throughout the series, but if that's what he's intending to show us, then I'm very happy. And, you know, I'm glad to see that Doctor Who might be finally learning from the mistakes it's been making over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. Right, so we're going to move on to the plot and the villain now. We can talk about the writing here if you wish. So would you like to start, John?
Yeah, alright, sure. Now, of course it's Chibnall, and we know what Chibnall's career is at the moment. So, I actually like the episode, but what we all knew was coming, and what did end up happening, is we had 15 minutes of fucking country cops. Which is inevitable. He's been doing Broadchurch for about 4 years, which really isn't that good. And we knew we were going to have that kind of lead-in, that little domestic bit where it's like, good morning, Yasmin. good morning, Mrs. Forrester, or whatever the fuck is going on, you know. It was like a parking ticket dispute or something stupid. We knew that would happen, and they'd have to set up the whole world. They're like, look how boring this country town is. Nothing could
Sheffield
ever
is not
happen
a country
here.
town. Sheffield's
I know,
a city.
but well, I know
pretty-
Sheffield's a city, but he's doing the same. I'm operating off Broadchurch principles here. He's doing the same thing, but he's trying to kind of ignore the fact that Sheffield's actually a metropolitan area. Which is why we only got shots of like the sort of suburban areas.
I like Sheffield, but Sheffield is not a massively exciting place. Not much
No, of
goes
course
on
not.
there. It's a very nice city.
That's
but
the point.
I think his characterization of Sheffield, not much happening there, is largely correct, actually.
Yeah, but that's the
somebody who's
principle
actually
he's been
been
operating off with Broadchurch. Yeah, okay. Sure, Sheffield was a realistic choice. That's not what I'm talking about. I've never been. Now, what he's doing, because this is what he does, is he takes a location, he goes, nothing could ever happen here, and then he introduces the big thing, which in Broadchurch is a murder of a child, and in Doctor Who is
a big turnip falling
Jodie
from the
Whitaker.
sky.
Yeah, Jodie Whitaker
No,
and some
I'm not talking about Jodie
tentacles.
Whitaker, I'm talking about the massive turnip thing.
Ah, yeah, that thing. I don't know what that was meant to be. That looked really out of place, to be honest. It looked unfinished.
Apparently Tim Shaw, whatever his name was meant to be in there. It looks like a very
Fuck
odd
off.
thing to be in.
It looks really cheap. So I saw it and I went, that looks like it's from fucking.
No, it's literally
in
a
the Night
prize-winning
Garden.
turnip. They got a prize-winning turnip and used it in Doctor Who.
Painted it a bit, and they were like, all right, that's blue enough, isn't it? My big problem with all the different characters and how they acted and how they spoke is it felt like a little bit too much like Class a bit to me somehow. I don't know why. I don't know what it was. It may have been just the look of it was very similar to Class, or the way that people were speaking. But it reminded me a fuckload of Class, but obviously better.
On this channel, that is considered the highest of insults. So
Yeah, it reminded me visually of Class, not obviously in terms of substance, because if it did, I would hate it. But visually, it reminded me a bit of Class, and I don't really know why. It might have just been all the darkness, all the edgy darkness.
well, yeah, except for this, it wasn't like really edgy like Class was.
No, it wasn't. It was. Look, there were problems with. I had
Class was
problems
like
with this.
a pizza slicer. It's all edge and no point.
No, that's funny, and you definitely didn't make that up. No, hang on. My main issue with this episode was the fact that the dialogue was a bit cookie cutter. It wasn't. I'm not asking for Moffat style, clever one-liners, and that's clever in quotation marks there. But it felt a bit it felt a little bit like a first draft almost, like he was going to kind of figure out the nuances of what they were saying, or he just has a lot of faith in his actors to pull everything off, which they did for the most part. But I felt that the script itself is not much to write home about, and what really made the story were the visuals and the acting. And without those elements, just reading that as like a leaked script, we would have been fucking extremely disappointed, because it was really quite basic.
Well, I've got to contest that a bit, as I did think there were a lot of strengths to the writing of the script, which is mainly in making the characters all very down to earth and writing something that's a lot more competent than what we see in the wild. It's like very well written from a very like kind of writing technical point of view. It's all
it's a great setup
it's great
for a drama series.
Although
it felt like a pilot episode of a drama series.
What I would agree with you and criticise it is the plot is very basic, not in it for long, and it's not all that interesting. It's not bad,
and it didn't have
It's just like
and it didn't really have
you wouldn't watch that episode to see the villain in it. Like,
I would have liked it
which
to
is
have
what,
been a kind of...
But unfortunately, is what you have to expect from new Doctor stories.
But do you watch the 11th hour for the Atraxi? I mean,
the 11th. Do you watch the 11th hour at all?
I think it's a decent episode, to be honest.
Yeah, but personally, I think that that's not a good way of doing a new Doctor story. I think the best way to do it is to kind of really show what your new Doctor could do, really test them, like Power of the Daleks. Look at how well that tested Patrick Troughton. Look at how well
the Troughton and Power of the Daleks isn't really Troughton, is it?
Yes,
That's the thing. New Doctor stories always, yeah, it is, but it always ends up not being the Doctor. Like, I don't think there's actually a New Doctor story that nails the character. You know, Unearthly Child doesn't show the
that's
full
because
scope of
usually
it's a kickoff,
both the
right?
character and the actor develop.
Castrovalva, actually no, Castrovalva, yeah, no. Castrovalva works in that sense, I suppose. Time and Lorani is possibly the worst.
Right, if we go to discuss good New Doctor stories, Time and Lorani is not one to discuss.
Well,
No,
then
it
I'm
doesn't
leaving this panel discussion if I'm going to have to deal with this slant.
Alright,
Time and the Rani would
Sir
work if
Pippin
McCoy
James.
got out of the TARDIS and then went, the Rani, look to your left, and then, I don't know, some kind of mystical plan involving, like, the ancestral gods of the bird people on that planet, or whatever the fuck they were, actually knowing the Doctor.
The planet of
because
Australia, yeah.
And he's sent Chris and Roz there, and they're, like, gonna get her from the behind, yeah. That would have been anyway.
Yeah, well,
That would have been
the villain in this episode, Tim Shaw, whatever his name was, I liked the look of him a lot.
I was surprised
I liked the
when he
teeth.
took the helmet
teeth
off.
was a very good touch. And that's because I myself am absolutely repulsed by the thought of losing my teeth. So seeing that, I was like, oh, that's fucking horrible, that is. Yeah, it was really good stuff. Anything else to say on the plot on the villain, just before we move on?
I didn't enjoy the fact that there wasn't necessarily any downtime and that the villain felt a bit too easy to cheat. I feel like it would have been better as two-parter with some more emotional beats. Maybe like we saw in the Graham teaser from a couple of months ago, a bit of downtime. Maybe they go to a cafeteria and they do that kind of midnight coffee thing in the middle of a chase, which you see in like 100 fucking crime shows and whatever. That would have been cool. That kind of diner, like you go to like a kind of diner and they sit there and they have a coffee and they're like, "What's the plan, gang?" I think that would have been cool rather than just running around construction sites and train scrap yards. But you know, that's me just saying I wanted a longer episode, which obviously we're not going to get.
Yeah, Jordan.
I wish we'd gotten to see the effect of the DNA bombs because they just kind of felt like an odd, empty plot device.
Yeah, I like the sound of somebody getting melting while their DNA melts. But
I would have.
Happen.
I would saw it happen to Tim Shaw, but there was no real like feeling about it beforehand. They were just like, "Oh, we have these DNA bombs," and just okay, what is?
Tim Shaw may as well have just been a Rutan. Like I feel like all these villains.
Can we just let George speak because we've got to move on to the segment. He hasn't had a chance to speak.
I feel like Tim Shaw was a Sainsbury's Basic version of the Predator. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it was decent.
How middle class is that?
Fuck.
Sainsbury's Basic.
Yeah, so like, I mean, he was decent, but he's not one that I'd remember or specifically think, oh, I tell you who's a good villain, that bloke who nicked people's teeth. I wouldn't rank him against, like the Daleks. Like, he's not iconic, you know what I mean? I feel like he's quite forgettable, but at the same time, he works for this episode, and he served a purpose. Whether that purpose was to allow more time for the characters and the Doctor to develop. I mean, I quite like the fact that when whoever his name was trying to jump from one crane to another, his kind of arm just went out and grabbed him. I think that was quite intimidating, and I quite like that a little bit. But I've got to give him 0 out of 10 for killing Salad Man. So
I thought you were going to say Grace there, but no, it always comes back to Salad Man, doesn't it? Right.
Well, he didn't quite kill Grace. Kind of Grace killed Grace almost.
Yeah, what came first?
To be fair,
anyway.
To be fair,
we're moving on now because we're running in the time quite a lot. So the music of this episode, what do you think of that? Because obviously we've got a brand new composer for the first time in since the 80s, basically.
Yeah, I like the subtlety. I really like the subtlety. I think it's different to Murray Gold in a good way. I don't think Murray Gold's bad necessarily. I really like Murray Gold's music, but at the same time, it can be a bit sort of overtuned and very in your face. Whereas I didn't feel that with this episode. I felt like it was quite subtle. It was quite nice. It was quite well done, and I love the new theme tune. So
Oh god, I've got to agree.
Um,
Like the Murray Gold music, almost always grated with me. I was never really a fan of it. I hated how intrusive it was and how like over the top it was. Whereas that wasn't the case here. This was very subtle music, and it worked really well to help build an atmosphere, way more than I felt Murray Gold did, for at least me personally. But I think I need to rewatch it, kind of make a fully formed opinion, because I didn't quite notice it that much. But what I did hear, I did like, and yeah, I'm definitely going to be listening to it a bit more in the next episode, so I can come back with a opinion of exactly what I thought of the music. All I can say right now is I definitely like it more than Murray Gold, because it didn't annoy me.
Yeah.
What did you think of the? Oh, sorry.
No, it's all good. I didn't notice it that much, which is a good thing probably. But my favorite part was the new theme that we heard at the end, which sounded amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best theme since the TV movie for me.
Oof.
Oh, I have to contest that. No. However bombastic it might be, the Eccleston theme, like that, has a bit of it has a place in my heart, just because
I don't know.
Yeah, well, for me
how
too,
different it
but
is.
I still don't like it that much. It's good, but it's not that good. It's better than Matt
I
Smith's
thought this sounded a
themes.
bit like the kind of David Warner Unbound Doctor theme,
And
almost,
I love
but kind of
the
just
David Warner
better done.
Unbound theme.
Well, we all love David Warner.
David Warner, he's the best Doctor. I'm not even
Imagine
joking
this
there.
episode, but with David Warner as the Doctor.
Yeah, why didn't they cast David Warner as the Doctor? That would have been like...
Because that's not a
Sorry,
vagina.
Jodie, would have been so much better, because I love David Warner as the
He's
Doctor
like
in Big Finish.
he's like 75 years old, Dylan.
What are you saying?
He's
Are you being
fuck it, he
ageist
could manage
here?
it.
Are you being ageist?
He's fucking
Yes.
Lisa Bowerman. He can do whatever he likes.
All right.
Name one good thing that old people have done in the past 10 years. Nothing at all, apart from die.
Shit themselves.
All right. Any more thoughts on the music before we move on?
I want
I
me
want
just
to
ask
rant
quickly,
about
what
old
did-
people right now.
No, you're not allowed to rant about.
what did people think about the idea of when the 13th Doctor kind of crash landed in the train and the music from a little bit of the motif from the theme tune kind of played a little bit?
Yeah,
That
People's
seemed
thoughts
forced.
on
That can fuck off.
It did kind of remind me of that
Didn't like
moment
it.
from oh god, what episode was it?
Castrovalva, maybe? I don't know. Castrovalva has
There
lots
was an
of music.
episode of Doctor Who where it's like, oh my god,
Well, I
how
was
I
actually
forget this?
hoping
It's
to think about
Classic
Doctor
Who.
Who.
It's Classic Who.
Is it
Yeah.
Paradise Towers? I
No,
said that
it
as a
isn't.
joke,
Well,
but I think it might
I've
be.
forgotten the episode, but there's an episode of Classic Who where they kind of like, it's kind of like one of those episodes where it's kind of a bit continuity heavy, and like they kind of find the thing that's about the Doctor, kind of goes like very subtly.
I can't remember. I know what you mean. It might be a Davison episode.
Is it when Davison plays?
Is it Earthshock?
It could.
Yes,
It could be any David.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. It's
yeah.
Earthshock when they pop up on the
Yeah.
scanner and it goes doo 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 doo.
Oh fuck, that's right actually.
And I really,
yeah.
it kind of reminded me of that, and I really liked that.
Because I went for Castrovalva first, just because Castrovalva obviously has the best music of any Doctor Who episode ever. We all know this. It's not
Yeah,
debatable.
well, let's not get into that argument. Anyway, so let's move on to direction, shall we? Because that was something that was very different, very impressive, in my opinion. So, what was your thoughts on it, George?
I said the same thing to Chris himself. I said it just reminds me very much of Broadchurch, and personally I think that's a good thing. I think it feels more like a modern TV drama. It doesn't feel like the kind of campy space age stuff that started to feel a little bit old by the end of Capaldi's era. As much as I love Rachel Talalay, I feel like her and the bunch of others that were in that sort of era, it kind of felt a bit samey, and I feel like this is a brand new kind of direction, and it seems that Jamie Charles was very confident with that, and I mean, all props to him. I think it looked beautiful.
I can't add anything to that. That was my thoughts exactly. Shay and Charlie, you have anything to say about that?
It's definitely the best that the show's ever looked. I don't know what new lenses they're using, but it really does make everything look just much better, because
I don't think it's lenses. I think it's color correction.
Oh yeah, no, I read somewhere that they're using like new lenses as well. There's like some sort of standard camera that the BBC uses for most of its drama that I think they've only just started adopting for Who. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, cool.
But it did look really good. Yeah, there's just like, I mean, the colors and the way that, also like the shots themselves, not just the way it looked, but like the way the shots were, like the shot composition of a lot of the episode was actually really nice, and like you could tell that a lot of time had gone into like thinking out these things where they're like using the space around them to show like isolation and all this sort of stuff that just sort of really was like, yeah, I fuck with this, you know? To put it in poetic terms.
I
liked it. I thought it was a bit... I always have issues with direction that is too kind of... I use this term workmanlike, you know what I mean? Because it was well done, it looked nice, but it wasn't... didn't have a flair, you know? It wasn't like... cinematic enough, almost. Wasn't.
I don't know. Should Doctor Who really be?
It was cinematic.
Cinematic.
No, of course not. But I mean, if you're going to go one way or the other.
TV show.
Well, my issue with it was, I don't know. I just find that when someone directs something and it looks nice, you're like, oh yeah, that looks nice. But you know, there are never those kind of little shots that really stand out when you watch like Tarantino or like an episode of Breaking Bad or something like that, and you see that kind of.
Yeah, well, obviously they're on massive budgets. Those kind of things, you know.
Well, I mean, Breaking Bad it's not the budget; it's just the
American
the ability
TV shows, when they get that popular, are made on humongous budgets.
Not in the start though, obviously not for the first season on a fucking classic movie channel. No, cool. But anyway, moving on. The point is that I like the direction, but I'd like if there was a bit more flair as well.
I agree to an extent. I think the whole idea with should Doctor Who look this cinematic is more of a lesson argument. It's less against fans, it's more about general audiences. If a new audience member wants to watch Doctor Who for the first time, as this has been designed as a stepping point, if they jump onto this episode and it looks kind of like the direction that we had back in 2005, 2006, it may or may not put them off a little bit. And I feel like with this, it feels kind of in conjunction with stuff like Black Mirror, Bodyguard, more recently, just TV dramas that have a sort of very cinematic feel to them, and it kind of fits in nicely with that. I don't think that's
honestly, I can't imagine.
To kind of go on a little tangent from what you just said, George, I really like how they've, like, that kind of style back in the late 2000s of just cutting all the time. I'm glad that's a thing that doesn't really happen anymore, because that really turns me off. I hated that, and they don't do it anymore, and I'm very happy.
Yeah. My eyes didn't hurt during this, which is a plus. Which tended to happen during Tennant sometimes.
Oh my god, the amount of cuts they do in scenes of Tennant
I couldn't
episodes,
watch.
it's insane.
Like, for instance, 42, which happens to be a Chibnall episode I can't watch. Because you watch it and it's just like, dum, dum, dum. The timing's all off, by the way. It's not real time at all.
Yeah.
And it's just a shit episode. No.
Alright,
it's like in Image of the Fendal or something, but just
I like Image
in space. I do too, but the reason why it's good is because it's 4 episodes long.
Yeah. Anyway, so, final thoughts on this story. I shall let Shay go first. I'd give it a score out of 10 as well.
Honestly, despite what has been said here, I mean, I don't know, I liked it a lot, honestly. Not like it wasn't like great or perfect, but it was for what I went in with, which was honestly, I just wanted to watch something that was entertaining for a while, which it certainly was, and it was a huge improvement on the Moffat era so far, with great characters that were actually interesting, and companions that I'm interested to see develop over the course of the series. The story, I mean, it wasn't anything to write home about, but it wasn't terrible. The villain, interesting design, underused, I would say. Jodie Whitaker was good. There's a lot of promise there. But I think now that we're over the post-regeneration stage, I reckon she'll be able to get into it more. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
All right, George.
I think it was. I think it was a really strong episode, to be honest. Yeah, it has noticeable flaws, but so does everything nowadays. Nothing is perfect, and I've come through time to expect that. Although I was very much looking forward to this series, my expectations for this episode were kind of relatively sort of neutral. So even after the premiere and watching it again on Sunday, it was still a fantastic experience, and I was sitting there going, "Oh yeah, I'm loving this," and I'm still immersed with every moment. And I wasn't bored. I liked the character development, and it just feels generally, whether it be big or small, it feels like a step up from Moffat. And that's the biggest compliment I can say. I feel like
That's a huge compliment on this.
Jodie.
Stepping
I mean,
up from Moffat
Jodie.
is what I've been begging for.
Jodie Whitaker, it doesn't, it didn't bug me, the whole female Doctor thing. I've always been a supporter of it, but I wasn't sure till I saw an episode. She got me straight away. I felt her passion behind the character. And, I'm looking forward to the rest of the series, which is something I haven't really been able to say in a long time with Doctor Who. So I'm genuinely, truthfully, really looking forward to this series, the rest of it. And I'm looking forward to seeing where Chibnall takes the show. So I'm saying 8 out of 10.
Very good. Charlie, would you like to give your final thoughts?
My opinion of this has kind of changed over, the couple of days since I watched it, right? Because I was very kind of nonplussed when I gave it the first look and I actually watched the episode, and then I thought about it, and I've thought about it since, and it's kind of grown in my respect, just because I kind of realized how much it had accomplished without me realizing it. You know what I mean? Like, it did so much, but it felt so fluid and so natural. So I think I'm going to give it maybe an 8.5.
Wow, that's considering you've been the most critical of it out of all of us.
Well, you criticize the things you
giving it
love the most,
score.
don't you?
Yeah. Right.
Well, I liked it. It was good. I mean, it was still shit, but it was good, of course. You know what I mean? Like,
What do you mean give
everything.
it an 8.5
I could.
out of 10? That's a really high score.
I could sit here and I could talk about why, human nature is the worst, but it's still my favourite Doctor Who story, like the book, obviously. You know what I mean?
Okay. Right.
You can find things to criticise and everything.
I was just a bit shocked.
I did enjoy the episode.
The way this panel discussion went, I thought you were going to be giving it the lowest score by far. But anyway.
No, I love. Jodie was actually quite good, and Ryan is probably going to be up there in terms of my companion ranking. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So my final thoughts. So. I wasn't really sure what to expect going into this, but I was at the very least expecting a huge shake-up, and that's what I got, fortunately. We had really down-to-earth companions, which is something I've been begging for, and down-to-earth characters as well, which is something I've been begging for after the Moffat era, and just everybody being way too important, way too snarky and clever. It was nice to have people that felt like real people, and they all got really good development. It's amazing how much character development Chibnall actually managed to fit into only 65 minutes while including a plot, which admittedly was paper thin. That was one of the problems of the story. But it was just very well done. As you said, the story was very fluid. Jodie is the Doctor, really good when she's serious. Perhaps needs to work a little bit on the acting. I wasn't a fan of the kind of the whimsy and the humour that much. I'm hoping that's kind of a post-regenerative thing. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Let's watch the series. Maybe she's a Doctor that will kind of change as it goes along. We'll see. We'll go along for the ride. And the music was much better than what Murray Gold was, in my opinion. The direction was really good. And just overall, this is clearly, if this is a mission statement for what Chibnall's setting out to do, I'm very excited. It didn't do a whole lot within itself, and it's not necessarily that much special, and it did have some problems, but it's a very good start, and it's a very good mission statement for what Chibnall wants to do with his era, and I'm very excited to watch the rest of the series and see where he goes with this. So I've got to give it a 7 out of 10.
It's all about family.
You kind of see why he said that, but, Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see.
I was getting worried for a second. I thought, oh shit, is Tim Shaw going to be here looking for his sister or something?
Again. No, it's not going to be Russell T Davies here.
No, God.
Anyway, so that's it for now. I'd like to thank Charlie, Shay, and George for coming on. It's wonderful to see you. George has a YouTube channel, which I shall link in the description, and I shall see you all back next time for the Ghost Monument. That's the name. Bye.